Hello and welcome. My name is Stephen Lindwall. Welcome to episode 2 in this Infinite Banking Concept series. What if the problem isn't how hard you work, but where your money flows? Nelson Nash captured the idea this way. Most people think they have a money problem. What they really have is a thinking problem. Let me describe something completely normal. You earn a strong income. You save consistently. You invest responsibly. And at the exact same time, you finance vehicles, you carry a mortgage, you use a line of credit for opportunities. So technically, you are building wealth and renting money simultaneously. That's not a contradiction in modern finance. That's the design. Is your financial system working for you, or are you working for it? So let me ask you something else. What if the problem isn't how hard you work, but where your money flows? Today, we're going to expose what is called the cash flow trap, the quiet cycle that keeps even high-income professionals perpetually dependent. Here's how it works. Most professionals save money while borrowing money. Think about that for a second. You deposit funds into institutions. Those institutions lend out the money, and then you borrow it back with interest. If that sounds circular, it is. Interest flows outward every month, quietly, predictably, relentlessly. If consistency builds wealth, banks are extremely consistent. Just unfortunately not for you. Now here's the eye-opening part. Over a lifetime, most people will pay hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions in interest. Not because they're reckless, but because the system requires external financing for almost every move. House, cars, business expansion, investment property. We've normalized the idea that capital must be rented. Imagine if every time you need to use your own tools at work, you had to lease them from a supplier. That would feel ridiculous in business. But financially, we've accepted it as normal. The trap isn't debt, the trap is permanent dependence. Now let's talk about something that sounds boring, but is financially brutal. Interrupted compounding. Compounding only works when money stays intact. But what usually happens? You build up some savings, you build up those investments, you're feeling disciplined, then life happens. A down payment, renovation, opportunity, unexpected expense. Capital leaves the system. Permanent wealth transfer. Compounding resets. Then you rebuild, and then it resets again. Financial progress starts looking like a staircase instead of an escalator. Up a bit, flat, dip, repeat. If compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, interrupted compounding is the eighth frustration. And it's sneaky because you feel like you're progressing, but you're constantly restarting momentum. It's like training for a marathon, and then every few months, someone moves the starting line back a few kilometers. You're still running hard, you're just not getting as far as you think. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Access to capital requires approval, paperwork, credit rating, interest rate risk, timing. You don't control the terms, you qualify for the terms. That's a big difference. Even high-income professionals with excellent credit are still subject to market conditions, lending policies, risk departments, economic cycles. And you can earn $200,000 a year and still wait 3 weeks for someone to approve your use of capital. That's not ownership, that's application status. And here's the quiet wealth transfer nobody talks about. When you finance externally for decades, the cost is an interest. It's lost control, lost interrupted compounding. And over time, that adds up far more than most people calculate. So let me ask you two honest questions. If you added up all the interest you've paid in your lifetime, would that number surprise you? And how different would your financial trajectory look if you controlled the source of capital instead of renting it? Just sit with that, because awareness is the first shift. So in closing, the problem isn't that you're disciplined. It isn't that you don't earn enough. It's definitely not that you're financially irresponsible. The problem is that most financial systems are designed to make you an excellent customer, not an owner. If your capital constantly flows outward, compounding gets interrupted, control stays partial, and dependency quietly becomes normal. Because when the financial system controls your money, you follow its rules. But when you control the banking function in your life, the system finally starts working for you instead of against you. Now, in the next episode, we're going to look at the architecture behind the infinite banking strategy and why the structure of the policy matters more than most people realize. I'll see you there. Thank you.